Hey folks, I'm your host Jason Banks with Team FYN Sports, and welcome to another episode of Instant Replay, North Georgia's only online weekly local sports show. Here at Team FYN Sports, we're all over it, meaning that throughout the 10 North Georgia and Western Carolina counties that we cover, we're bringing highlights from all sports, whether it's basketball, football, track, soccer, regardless. We're out there doing our best to cover it, and we're going to bring it to you right here. It's your week in sports, but I'm here to give you the instant replay. Last week, we highlighted the Gilmer Bobcats wrestling program as well as other local wrestlers who qualified, competed, and placed at the GHSA State Wrestling Tournament down in Macon, Georgia. Took a little time to speak with Coach Gobat over at Gilmer High School, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. And this week, we're going to head north to Murphy, North Carolina, where the Lady Bulldogs of Murphy High School know a thing or two about basketball. Anyone in North Georgia or in this area recognizes the quality of a program at Murphy High School whenever it comes to sports, whether it's football, basketball, track, cross country, or cheerleading. But the Murphy Lady Bulldogs have done something pretty spectacular this year. Right now they're 27-2, 11-1 in the Smoky Mountain Conference, and they're fighting their way to the state championship. They defeated Cherokee High February 16th, 62-55 to win the Smoky Mountain Conference tournament, which was nice for them to win their tournament. Their one loss in conference play came by the hands of Cherokee High, the Lady Braves, just a couple of weeks prior to that. So it was sweet for them to get that win. They were excited over there. I know that Coach Ray Gutierrez told me that he's very proud of the way that his girls have been playing, but that was not the last time that these two teams would meet. As they got into tournament play, they got a first-round bye in the state tournament, the NCHSAA 1A state tournament. So with a first-round bye, because they performed so well all season long, they then faced East Surrey February 22nd, where they won 58-35. They get into the Sweet 16 with that win, and by moving on to the third round, they faced Union Academy, who really gave them a scare. Union Academy came out strong for the first time all year. It looked like Murphy was in trouble. They were down by 10 at the end of the first quarter and really just had to fight their way back through that whole game. They did come alive in the fourth quarter, scoring 20 points. And fortunately, because of their tenacity and their hard work and just will to win and just believing in themselves, they came together and they made some really great crucial shots, some good plays defensively, pulled off a 66-59 win, which brought them back to Cherokee High. They had to host the Lady Braves. This time a little bit different showing for Murphy, as the Lady Dogs came out swinging, determined to make sure that their rival there, the Lady Braves, did not get them in trouble, especially after the tough game they played the week prior, the game prior to Union Academy. Murphy won that game 55-32, dominant fashion, and with a team that's been averaging over 60 points a game, I guess hats off to the Lady Braves for holding them to only 55 points, right, in a 23-point margin of victory. That game took place on February 27th. They faced Mount Airy on Saturday this week, which at the time of the airing of this show, you know, the game will have already passed. We do record a little bit in advance. This is going to be a really tough test for that team. We're excited. We're going to bring you the details on that next week. But by facing Mount Airy, what they're up against is another team that only has 2 losses, just like Murphy. It's going to be a really, really tough contest. Believe that the Murphy Lady Bulldogs are capable of pulling off this win. Obviously, they played very well all year. And if you look at the quality of this program, I mean, they've only lost 4 games in the last 2 years. They're like 56-4. That says a whole lot about what's going on with the coaching there and what they're doing, whether it be in practice or on and off the court, and the quality of talent that they have in that school and that program. Some of the top players, if we were to take a look at those, we got Aubrey Clapsettle. She's just a junior, and she's a huge threat outside the perimeter. Fans go wild whenever they see her square up to take a shot from outside the three-point area, because she's so good shooting the basketball. She's averaging 13 points per game, but a lot of these games where she spends a lot more time at the point spreading the ball around and getting it inside to senior Jessica Beckner. Jessica Beckner is over 1,000 points in her career. She did that early in the season. You can't miss her on the court. She's tall. She's very athletic. She's got 17 points per game this season, and she's averaging 10 rebounds a game as well. And then Sydney Addison is a sophomore, 10 points per game for Sydney Addison. This team is very young. They've only got 4 seniors on the team, and a lot of these girls come back from last season whenever they had the devastating loss. I believe it was in the Final Four last season when they lost, and the team that defeated them went on to win the whole championship. So they're out for blood. They're ready. They're great girls. A lot of support in that community. You go to a game at Murphy High School and you leave there knowing that everybody in that entire town probably came out to watch that game. I dare say that they truly do bleed Bulldog in Murphy, North Carolina. When I spoke with Coach Gutierrez earlier this season, he said he was real proud of the way that the girls were playing. He really felt like they were in a good place. He was a very professional coach. You see him on the sidelines in a suit and tie, so you know that he takes the job very seriously. And his players reflect that as well. Principal Boyd Shields is also the athletic director there at Murphy High School, told me that of all sports that they have at Murphy High School, their girls varsity basketball team has the best academic averages across the board. They're straight A students. Gutierrez holds them to a high standard. If they want to play for him, he makes sure that they have good grades, and they do have great grades there. So that's something else. I mean, not just a really good sports team, but really good students, and that's what anybody would want, I think, to look at whenever they're looking at their kid playing sports somewhere or being involved in a program like that. Let's shift gears for a second. Murphy Wrestling, just something else that's kind of exciting going on in Murphy, North Carolina. Corey Farmer is a senior. Last year he was a runner-up at the NCHSAA, very difficult to say, but the NCHSAA 1A state championship. He was runner-up last year. He was real nervous going into state this year. He told me after he won state that he wasn't sure how it was going to go down. He was nervous, but he was hoping for the best, and he pulled it off. He accomplished it. He actually won very well. He performed very well and had a really great season. Asked him if he's looking at colleges. He said he had a couple offers, but he wasn't really sure what he was going to do yet. But he did want to make sure and give credit to Coach Daniel Ledford over there, and of course his father, Josh Farmer, who pushed him to be better and pushed him to be a great wrestler. And they do things there very similar to what Gilmer does, where these guys don't just wrestle in-house. They do camps. They get outside of their own gym there. They get outside of the doghouse and go do a little training year-round with other outside organizations. He said his parents are very involved. It's typical in any wrestling family. You see these kids, their parents are typically very involved in their sports. The photos that we used actually for our article highlighting Farmer was actually taken by his mother. And if you want to read that article, go to our website, fetchyournews.com. Just click on Team FYN Sports, look for Murphy, North Carolina, or Cherokee County, North Carolina. You'll find a great article there about Corey Farmer and his performance at the state tournament, as well as other sports going on in your area. You can find all that on fetchyournews.com. You can also find it on our Facebook page, Team FYN Sports. If you're not following us on Facebook, you're missing out, because we tweet out at these games. We've got reporters all through these 10 counties, and they're tweeting out as highlights are going down and give you score updates and the games that you might not be able to get to, or maybe you're curious about what's going on with a rival school. If you follow us on Team FYN Sports Facebook and at Team FYN Sports Twitter, you're going to get up to the minute tweets that will give you the information that you're looking for. You don't have to search for it. It's right there. It's very simple. And that's what we do. That's what, when we say that we're all over it, that's what we're doing for you. We want to make sure that you're following that. Then, of course, Wednesdays at noon, you can catch me right here on Instant Replay, where we give you the highlights. If you're interested in sharing highlights about one of your athletes, or you feel like maybe you got a player or a coach or a team that needs some recognition, shoot me an email, jason@fetchyournews.com. We're going to take a break for a moment so we can talk to our sponsors, but when we come back, we're going to look at baseball throughout the region. Lots going on with baseball, lots to share, whether starting up north in Murphy, we'll work our way down towards Pickens County. We're going to give you those highlights when we come back. Thank you to our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers, and North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Medium Pizza Hut pizzas, just $5.99 each.
Did they say Pizza Hut?
For $5.99?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Introducing the deal you want on the pizza you crave. 2 medium pizzas, just $5.99 each. No one out pizzas the hot.
Hey folks, welcome back. Thanks for taking a few moments to take a look at our sponsors. We want to thank our sponsors so much. Without them, this show wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't be able to get this information to you. So thanks so much. And if you're interested in being a sponsor, just reach out to us at Fetcher News. We would love to highlight and support these kids. And in order to do that, we need a little help. So please remember us, FetcherNews.com. Follow us on Facebook, Fetcher News, and also Team FYN Sports. Please follow us on Instagram at Team FYN Sports, and don't forget about us on Twitter, where you're going to get up-to-the-minute tweets about anything going on in the area. Last week, we found out there were some coaches leaving, some shifting around with that. We tweeted that out just as soon as we had the green light and go-ahead that was official news. And so we get that information out there faster to you than anyone else. You're not going to find that information anywhere else. It's way better than waiting a week and a half to read about it in some newspaper somewhere. So stick with us, follow us online, and we're here to help get that information to you as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So now that we're back, we're going to talk a little bit about baseball. Obviously, I have a lot of fun talking about wrestling, that I can't help myself. And Murphy Lady Bulldogs basketball, so exciting to watch. I didn't mention this, but I got to say it. If you haven't seen Murphy Lady Bulldogs play basketball, it's like watching Space Jam hit in reverse. It's mind-blowing. They're so fast. I think that they could actually probably stand toe-to-toe with a lot of the boys' teams around here. In fact, I'm curious if the Murphy Bulldogs and the Lady Bulldogs don't do some scrimmaging over there, because I've never seen a girls' basketball team as fast and as athletic as they are. We wish them the best. Hope they win a state championship this year. Murphy baseball, shifting gears, can you tell I like Murphy High School? It's just something about sports in a small town. They don't have a whole lot of money in their programs, but they certainly do have a whole lot of love, a lot of enthusiasm, a really great attitude in that area. And Murphy baseball has been chomping at the bit. Their season starts a little bit later in North Carolina than it does here in Georgia, probably due to their basketball season when it wraps up, not to mention the fact that it's smart to schedule games a little later when you know you got the potential to be playing in the postseason in any of your sports year-round. But Murphy baseball has not had an opportunity to open their season yet. Their first 2 games are rained out. Rain, go away. What are we going to do? I mean, we want the rain. We like the rain here, but it's killing some of these games, just like it does year after year. Into February, early March, really rainy season. Hard to play baseball in the rain. The first 2 games, like I said, are canceled. But they're hosting Union County on Monday. Again, our show airs on Wednesday, so this game will have already taken place, but you can go to Team FYN Sports Facebook and FetcherNews.com to get the details on the game. We'll also bring that information to you next week on Instant Replay. But they have the Monday home opener, provided the rain stays away. It's nice clear weather for the weekend, so hopefully it's nice weather on Monday. And then last year, Murphy, they went all the way to the state championship. They actually had a shot. They lost their first game. It was kind of an ugly game. It was a mercy rule game. Came back in the second game there against Whiteville, and 9-8 loss. Really tough loss. Really close, because if they had won that, then it forces a third, and they had a chance to win the state championship. But state runner-up, it's not bad. They're really flexing their muscles down up there in Murphy, North Carolina, across the board, no matter what sport they're playing. And it's no wonder that people don't really want to play them. So Union baseball, let's talk about them. Since Union's going to be going to Murphy on Monday, that's going to give us an opportunity to see how good are the Panthers. They're 4-1 this season under Coach Robbie Roxbury. He's doing a great job. He's rotating his pitchers quite a bit. I got to give a shout out to R.J. Banton up there in Union. He's playing such great baseball. It's incredible. And then a name that you're probably all familiar with, and if you're not, just write it down, put it on the fridge. Even your mom wants to know this one. Pearson Allison. Okay, his dad is the head football coach, also the athletic director. When I get to my Let's Be Real segment, we're going to talk a little bit about building a program. But part of building a program starts with great athletes. This kid's just a sophomore, and he is outstanding in whatever sport he does. He was vital on the basketball team there. He was vital on the football team, and you can expect when it comes to football season next year, this kid's probably going to be the starting quarterback, most likely. Getting ahead of myself, but I believe he will be. He stepped in for Cole Wright this last season and played some pretty good football, and he's just a sophomore. Keep in mind, too, Union County dropping down classification next year, going Region 8 AA. You heard it here first. I believe that they are going to probably dominate that region. I expect that they'll probably go very far in all of their sports because they got great athletes and they're building good programs over there. As far as baseball goes, though, they lost their first game at Commerce, which was a doubleheader. They lost 9-5. Then they turned around and gave Commerce a loss with a 9-5 win. Ironic matching scores there. So start the season off 1-1. Then they host Gilmer County. We'll talk about the Bobcats in just a few minutes, but they won a 5-4 victory. They were ahead early, made some mistakes. Bobcats are back in it. It's looking good for Gilmer, and then boom, Gilmer makes a mistake, puts a couple of runners on base, get a big hit, home run, 3 runs scored, 5-4 victory for Union County. So Coach Roxbury probably pretty happy to get Gilmer out of there because that game was a scary one. It was close, and it really came down to the wire. They won at Raven 16-6, big win there. And then they won again at Gilmer recently, 3-1. So Gilmer losing to Union twice. Close games both times. kind of get an idea for what these, you see a little rivalry maybe building there baseball-wise. Again, Union's at Murphy on Monday. Like I said before, gives us an idea how good they really are. And let's shift gears to Fannin baseball. They're 3-3 right now under Coach John Ayers. Huge fan of Coach Ayers. Man, the guy's got the best attitude out of probably any coach I've ever talked to. Really well spoken. Loves his players. Cares more about coaching them on life than just winning baseball games, but he does like to win baseball games too. He's a pretty good coach. I mean, he did have one D1 commit that's already left early to go to Georgia Tech. Shout out to Will Shirer, still watching, waiting. Can't wait to see this lefty get on the mound and do some damage for the Yellow Jackets there in Atlanta. But Ayers probably missing Will Shirer. He's got his little brother on the team. He's starting at first base as a freshman. Fortunate to have the younger brother, but again, tough start to the season. And I say that they're 3-3, but they're losing to good teams. Right? They went down to Valdosta to start the season off in the round robin. They won over Hamilton County 7-0. Then they lost to Alpharetta. Alpharetta High School, come on, pretty big school. A 4-2 loss. So Alpharetta, fortunate really not to lose to Fannin in that game, in my humble opinion, 4-2 loss. Then they lost to Lowndes County. Come on, man. I mean, it's a tough game. And by the way, Alpharetta, I believe, 7A school. So going back to that, I mean, that's pretty impressive. It gives you an idea of the work and the attitude that they have at Fannin. Then we got a win over Gilmer, big win, 11-0. Oh my gosh, what happened? That game, BKP calling it from the booth, spoke to BKP last Friday after that game, and he said it was over in the first. They had the mercy roll in the middle of in the fourth inning, played 4.5 innings, and Gilmer County got to be kind of wondering, where is their season headed? We'll talk about them in just a minute. But then Fannin turns around, gets another win at Flowery Branch. I mean, big win, 6-2, but then they turn around and lost 15-4 in the doubleheader. But I mean, Flowery Branch, not a bad school. So Fannin losing games to big schools. Should they feel bad about that? In my opinion, no. But season's a little longer than just a few games. They got a lot of baseball left to play. It'd be exciting to see how the season plays out for these guys. They are looking strong, though, in Region 7 AAA. They had a Gilmer game that was called due to rain as well. And let's talk about Gilmer. Somebody get Coach Thurman some Advil because this season's probably giving him a headache. And you might want to get him a Band-Aid too, because they got to figure out how they're going to stop the bleeding in Gilmer County. He started the season 1-8, really hoping for a better start. They've lost some close games. I saw the 2 Union games were very close games. But honestly, it probably would be 1-9 if the Fannin game hadn't been called due to rain. So Gilmer baseball, it's not how you start, it's how you end the season. Hope those guys take that as motivation and come back and just knock the ball out of the park, man. Just play good baseball, listen to your coach. I know that Thurman knows what he's doing. Probably a little frustrating when you have a rough start like that, but again, there's a lot of baseball left to be played. Let's see how they do. I'm going to take a moment. We'll talk about, we're going to shift gears to my segment, Let's Be Real. Each week I'll be talking a little bit just from the heart, just kind of putting it out there. Basically the way I look at life or at anything in general, there's a time when we should bite our tongue, and there's a time when we need to speak up. And I'm one who has a hard time sometimes biting my tongue. I'm not the most famous or most popular person all the time, but there is a time whenever we've got to be courteous, and then there's a time whenever we say, you know what, I've had enough, I'm fed up. And then there comes a time when we can pretend that it's no big deal, right? We let things go. But then there's a time when we need to be real. And that's exactly what I wanted to do today. I want to talk to you a little bit about what it takes to build a program in high school sports. Now, I'm not an expert, all right? I haven't built a program, so it's just my opinion. But it is still my opinion that everybody has an opinion, right? Especially whenever it comes to high school sports and whenever it comes to their kids and their athletes and how they're playing and how they're doing and how they're winning. Parents talk, players talk, the community talks, the coaches talk, and let's be real. It takes a lot more than talking to build a program. When we look at some of the model programs around here, take a look at Pickens football, doing great, right? They've built a program. You look at Gilmer Wrestling, like we talked last week, man, they've got the perfect model of a quality program. They funnel their athletes in from youth sports, youth wrestling, funneling in to their middle school, and then funneling great athletes in to their high school. And there's some other programs that have struggled, and whenever you have coaching changes, anytime you have a coaching change, it's scary because all that work building a program now changes, shifts gears. Typically, your head football coach or head basketball coach or whoever it may be has a whole lot of say-so in how the program is run as a whole, right? It trickles all the way down to the 7th grade. I'll say this, when you look at some of these schools that are building programs or they're rebuilding, like Gilmer High School football, for example, you want to support these guys who believe in the coaches. But the truth is, right, just being real, it takes enthusiasm to build a program first. If the players aren't bought into what you're doing, right, it's not going to work. So the very first thing you got to do is believe that it's going to happen. You got to get behind these guys. You got to get behind the coaches. If you're not behind the coaches, it's not going to happen. We had a recent change in coaching staff at Fannin High School. Coach Pavo left, going to Coffee County. He had a hard time at Fannin County High School. I believe part of the problem was people weren't buying in. You know, the last 4 letters of enthusiasm, IASM. In sales, we learn IASM. I am sold myself. If you don't believe in it, it's not going to happen. Yeah, you got to have talented athletes. There's no question there. But you've also got to have the belief that what you're doing is working and it's going to work. And you've got to keep and maintain that. Gilmer County Bobcats didn't win a single football game this year, but people still believe that they can, right? The administration made a decision. We're behind Casey Wingard. Let's keep him. Let's keep this thing going. It takes time. It takes, in my opinion, 4 to 5 years to build a program because you got to get those young guys that believe in it up into the high school upper grades, right? Still believing in it, still sold. They put in the work. They're behind you. They're ready. They're going to do what they have to do to win. And then you see champions. Same thing over at Murphy. Murphy, good example. All their sports, you know, I've become a huge fan of Murphy sports and Murphy High School and the way they do things. The attitude is so great. When you walk into Murphy High School, you feel it. If there's a game going on, you walk in, whoever's playing them is the underdogs, no matter what. Gilmer Wrestling, you step in to, even at state, you walk in and you take your seat and you're ready to watch these guys wrestle. You expect Gilmer to win, and they expect to win. The coaches expect their athletes to win, and when these kids sign up, when they say, yeah, I'm going to do this, they're believing that they're buying in, right? Their time on the mat, their time in the weight room, all that training, because their coaches are so good and the program is so storied, they believe that from day one, they just want it all. And that's, in my opinion, what it takes to build a real program. It doesn't just take speed, and it doesn't just take aggressiveness, and yeah, the extra work is important, but you see these kids go through the motions and they do what their coaches tell them to do, and then when they're losing at homecoming and they're dancing on the sidelines because all they can think about is going out and hanging out with their friends after the game. That's scary and sad. They're not bought in, right? So, to the future coach of Fannin County High School football, I hope that the community will get behind them. I hope that they'll buy in. And I heard a rumor, can't say who has applied for that position, but if it's true, you will hear it here first. Very possible future coach at Fannin County High School could be coming from a very nearby town? And if so, you got my support. That's it for Let's Be Real. That's all I've got today for Instant Replay. I hope you'll tune in next week to watch us, and we'll recap again what's going on in baseball. We're going to have athlete interview next week. Looking forward to that. We want to have a coach on the show as well. Looking forward to that. We're going to have RJ Casey from down in Pickens County call in, talk to us a little bit about what's going on in Pickens. He's on the bus, he's riding to the games. He's in the bleachers. He's in the press box. RJ Casey, he's my brother from another mother. So we look forward to talking to him on the phone next week. You don't want to miss it. And if you're following the games and you want to know what's going on, follow us on Twitter at Team FYN Sports. Make sure that you like and follow us on Facebook. You follow us on Fetch Your News, that's great. But make sure you're following us on our sports page as well, Team FYN Sports on Facebook. Just click like and make sure you click follow. We're also on Instagram at Team FYN Sports. And we want to give a shout out to our sponsors once again. Thank you so much for sponsoring the show. Like I said before, we couldn't do this without you. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, please contact us here at Team FYN Sports at fetchyournews.com. We'd love to have your business or family sponsor the show so that we can keep this going for you guys. Thanks again. Have a great week.